Why is it important to forgive? I'll tell you why it's important, and it's not just because the Bible says so. It does say, "Forgive and you will be forgiven," which makes a lot of sense with what I'm about to say. When you don't forgive somebody, you are constantly thinking about something that they did or said, causing you to relive that moment again. You live it in your mind over and over until it eventually happens again with someone else. Whatever that thing is, it's obviously not good if you can't forgive someone, but it is important to forgive. Forgiveness means to put it out of your mind, which is probably why they say forgive and forget, because forgetting also means put it out of your mind. You can learn from your mistakes, you can learn what kind of people you don't enjoy being around, but that doesn't mean you have to carry something with you the rest of your life, especially if it doesn't even make you feel good. The most important thing you can do is forgive and then move on with your life. And when you forgive, you're not doing it for the other person anyways, you're doing it for yourself, because it causes you great spiritual and mental harm. It snatches away your happiness and your peace. I'm sure that's also why it says to love your enemies, because if you don't love your enemies, then you're constantly walking around with anger in your heart, and anger gives foothold to the devil. Plus, you never even know what the future holds. Someone who you think is your enemy today could be your best friend tomorrow. Unforgiveness causes a lot of stress, which is honestly very bad for your health and causes you to age much more quickly. There's just no reason to hold unforgiveness in your heart. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't prevent anything. It just does damage to your heart, which probably explains why there's so many jaded people walking around these days filled with anger. They are walking around like that because they hold so much unforgiveness in their heart, and they don't know how to let it go. These are not the times that we are living in to be holding on to unforgiven wholeness and anger of any kind, because everyone needs to be in a state of peace. If you wonder why there's so much unrest in the world, I'm sure that is why, because there are so many people walking around all over the world with hatred in their heart, and it all started with somebody in their life, whether it be their childhood or as an adult, that they feel they couldn't forgive. They were holding on to something for nothing. You don't owe anybody your peace. Having peace in your heart is a precious gift that we should hold on to. And just like the Bible says, it says, guard your hearts with all diligence. Out of your heart flow the issues of life. So if you ruin your heart, in a sense, you ruin your life. If all the issues of your life are flowing out of your heart, and your heart is not in good condition, then it's easy to assume your life isn't going to be in good condition. And I'm sure there's many people out there that could attest to that. So, the most important thing you can do for yourself is to forgive anyone who has ever caused you any unrest or hurt your feelings or anything in any way. You forgive that person or those people, and you live your life in peace, because it's good for you to have a good life, and it all starts with the peace that you have in your heart. I don't think many people know this stuff, and that's why I'm sharing it with you, because I want people to have a good life, because life is very short, and I believe a lot of times we take time for granted as it sneaks on by, day in and day out. You wake up one day wondering where all the years went. Those days add up to years, just as the change in your pocket adds up to hundreds of dollars. But hopefully you're not carrying around that much change. It would most likely weigh your pants down, and that would be an entirely different video.